Thank you for joining. All right, it's 10 o'clock. Let's get started. Kellen, if you want to kick us off.
Thanks so much, Rachel. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our third and possibly final Copilot Newsroom for the year, unfortunately. This is where we share very exciting updates in Microsoft 365 Copilot. We've created this series to help you navigate and stay ahead in the dynamic and constantly changing Microsoft Copilot ecosystem. Unfortunately, I think this might be our last for 2024, but we will be back in the new year in 2025. Today, we're going to cover the latest updates and try to answer some of the questions that you might have about Copilot by diving into practical strategies for maximizing the value of Copilot within your Microsoft 365 apps. We will also dedicate time in each session to answer questions about Copilot that you may have. And we also encourage you to actively participate throughout the session, ask your questions, send messages in the chat, and also share experiences with Copilot. At the end of this session, we will have a QR code that we kindly ask you to fill out about the session. This really helps us do these sessions more frequently. In addition to this, we will also be recording the session, and this will be available on our site and send it out to anybody that asks for it. We can share it with you. But yeah, just in the past few months, Microsoft has released numerous updates, and we're very excited to showcase them for you. Today, we'll look closely at new features that have been released in August and September. Some of them are brand new and hot off the press, and also some of them have been overshadowed by those updates that we went over last month about Wave 2. We're going to concentrate on the most impactful ones that we thought were the most useful. And then before we start, we're going to do a quick intro of our team. We'll have three main sections. We'll go over the updates that are related to admin and management capabilities. The second will be dedicated to the changes and updates that impact end users. And then finally, we'll share with you the roadmap for what's coming next on the Copilot horizon. So most of you know who we are at Valorem Modern Work. We work with Microsoft at our heart. Our world is the Microsoft 365 ecosystem with Viva and as well as Accelerator. We are a large community at Valorem Modern Work made up of change managers using the ADKAR and ProSci methodology. Valorem Reply has 6 solution partner designations, including Modern Work. This includes business applications, data AI, digital and app innovation, infrastructure, security, and Modern Work. We also have Modern Work Advanced Specializations for adoption change management and custom solutions and teams. A real quick introduction to who I am. My name is Kellen McLeod, based in Chicago. I'm an adoption change management consultant with Valorem Reply, and I will go ahead and throw it over to Lee to introduce himself as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lee Carrick. I am a Microsoft 365 consultant. I'm based in the UK. In the northeast near a city called Newcastle, for those who are familiar.
Great. Thanks so much, Lee. I'm not sure if Alex is on the call yet, but he also works at Valorem Reply as a senior manager on our tech side. So in terms of our admin and management capabilities, as of the 8th of July in 2024, we have some new updates that rolled out. But because of Wave 2, some of them may have been overlooked, and Lee will be the first to deliver these exciting news to you. Mainly, we'll be covering Copilot usage with User Enablement Toolkit, upskilling with Copilot, expanded controls for managing the availability of Copilot in Teams meetings, introducing web search query transparency, Microsoft Graph Connectors update, very exciting, and governing data for Gen AI and SharePoint Advanced Management. And then in terms of end user updates, we have some niche new abilities rolling out here, including private chat in Loop, updates to the Copilot Success Kit, and some other fun updates. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Lee to take us through those admin updates. Lee?
Thank you very much, Kellen.
Mhm.
So in the wonderful world of admin and management capability updates, as we've just seen there, we've got some exciting sort of updates to bring to you this month. And as I say, a lot of these were sort of overshadowed. They've actually come out in the last month or so, throughout September and into October as well. And some of these kind of got overshadowed by the big headline announcements that we saw from Copilot Wave 2. But first up, from the admin and management side of things, we have improvements to the user enablement toolkit. So this has been released from Microsoft to basically help you quickly benefit from Microsoft 365 Copilot. So we've got customizable communication templates, role-specific examples, and different tools to help you really sort of drive engagement and inspire sort of uptake and usage with the tool. So by providing this, which is linked on screen there now, you can get those resources out to your colleagues throughout the business so that they can see different use cases and different ways for how their particular role might be able to utilize Copilot in a better way so that they can get more from the tool. So as I said, this one rolled out in September. It's available from the Microsoft 365 Copilot Adoption Hub, and that is linked on screen there now for you if you want to go and check that out. But I think what the key benefit of this particular tool is that it does tailor those experiences to specific roles. So members from different teams, including operations, HR, development teams, etc., they're able to see use cases that they might not necessarily recognize that would be helpful for those to use. So a really good update and something that I recommend everyone check out, especially if you're leading implementation projects for Copilot in your business. Moving on to, again, help further the adoption of Copilot from an end user perspective, we've had a lot more of updates to Microsoft Copilot Academy. So for those that are not aware, as part of Microsoft's Viva suite, Viva Learning is an excellent tool within there that brings content from places like LinkedIn Learning and other third-party learning platforms that you're able to integrate with Viva Learning. Well, Microsoft has built Academy functionality into this recently, where you can create sort of bespoke and tailored curated lists of content for specific purposes. So you can create an academy specific to a particular role or a particular part of your organization. And what Microsoft have done is actually curated their content from locations like Microsoft Learn and LinkedIn Learning together into the Copilot Academy. So if you've got Viva Learning available within your tenant, the Copilot Academy should be available now, as this rolled out in September for you all. And this gives you a really cool place for users to get up to speed with using Copilot for Microsoft 365. So you can see on screen there, you get sort of a guided walkthrough of sort of your next module to tackle, and this gives you some sort of excellent prompts and sort of styles and usage for Copilot to help you increase your Copilot capabilities. Particularly useful for prompt engineering skills as well, to make sure that people are getting the very most out of the investment in Copilot within your organization. Moving on, we now have some expanded control, which admins, I'm sure, will be very happy to hear, around the availability of Copilot in Teams meetings. So we now have the granular capability to make Copilot available in different Teams meetings based on different sort of scenarios. So this can be managed through Teams and sort of meeting organizers themselves, as well as IT administrators, are able to more granularly control how Copilot can be used within those meetings. So you can now set Copilot to off within meetings so that it can't be used completely, which is valuable for some organizations with particularly high security requirements. But then you can also have more granular availability of it as well. So by allowing Copilot in meetings, you can say that this is only available during the meeting. So a transcript is taken, but it is only ever stored in a temporary cache so that users can ask questions of Copilot as the meeting runs. But as soon as that meeting comes to an end, that temporary transcript is purged and removed from the system. So very useful for complex but confidential meetings where you may wish to use Copilot. You can have Copilot available after the meeting as well, which is the experience that a lot of us have come to know and love, where that transcription is taken and is then available after the meeting. So you can ask questions beyond that as well. Or you can have that set to off. And there's two sort of flavors of off within there. So you can either remove the availability of Copilot within Teams meetings, i.e. people can't ask questions of the intelligence as it's running, or you can have the disablement of your recordings and transcriptions, so you don't have any files hanging around. Particularly useful if you've got confidential business update style meetings where you only want the information to be available during the course of that call. We now have some more updates to help with the transparency of web search queries in Microsoft 365 Copilot as well. So this is a central sort of audit tool for IT and administrators, so that we can see how Copilot is being used within Microsoft 365. So by having the ability to audit those, we're able to see the citations that Copilot is using within its web searches, so that if you're allowing web search query to be baked into the grounding of your Copilot responses, you can actually see the web search queries that are being used from the user's prompt, or derived from the user's prompt rather, and what citations Copilot is using in responding to those, so that you can sort of help by either sort of checking the sources that are being used and removing the availability of certain sources if information is coming from untrusted platforms. But you can also then audit that further so that you're able to sort of gain a better understanding of how Copilot's being used in the organization. From a e-discovery and logging and audit functionality side of things, we're now also seeing the logging of those web search queries, which is becoming available in this final quarter of the year. And that enables admins to do searches and audits using things like e-discovery functionality to find those exact web search queries Copilot's using off the back of those prompts. And it allows you to then, as I say, extend that into investigations, etc., if need be, and provides transparency to the organization so that those can be used in a responsible way. So a useful tool, again, helping to shape the usage of Copilot, but then also giving you confidence that when you need to do investigations through e-discovery and other content search tools, you can actually see some of the Copilot artifacts within that as well now. Next up, we have improvements to the Microsoft Graph, and specifically the amount of data that you can actually consume and index within the Microsoft search experience. So this is particularly useful when you want to integrate third-party data into your Microsoft 365 search experience, which then also helps to bolster Copilot's capability and ability to respond to queries. So you can now, for free, rather than needing specific licensing, index up to 50 million items of external data. So this might be a file share, it might be a line of business tool, it could be a database connection, or various different systems that you can connect to the Microsoft Graph. You can now index those without extra cost. So Copilot effectively has more data to reason its responses on and ground its responses in, so that users can get more specific responses based on how your business stores data, what it does with that data, and how you serve your customers, so that you can easily and sort of get more value from the tool. So previously, for those premium Microsoft Graph connectors, you needed built-in entitlement through specific licenses that already existed, or add-on quotas to expand the number of items that you could index in that way. But now you can do up to 50 million items for free without any additional licensing, which is wonderful, as I say, for bringing more data in to get the value of Copilot for your organization. And then finally, in the admin and management capabilities, we've got quite a big section here. So we've got new reports rolling out to SharePoint Advanced Management. SharePoint Advanced Management being the additional add-on SKU for SharePoint, where you gain access to additional reporting and additional functionality that uses both AI, but also is available to help your usage of AI and your adoption of AI. So running down the list as we see it there, starting off with the permission state report. This is a really useful new tool. It's currently in public preview, but it provides your admins with a bird's eye view of all permissions. So that's across SharePoint and across OneDrive. And it's the files within those to help discover potentially over-permissioned content. So content that is shared too much within your organization, so you can take action to reduce that. And that helps to empower admins to address any of those pockets of data which are perhaps overshared within the organization, or that not everyone should have access to, which is a big concern from a lot of IT that we've spoken to when we've been deploying Copilot. And you'll be able to now see that and reduce that availability, which is a huge sort of boost to the IT's capability to understand the data and the governance around it. Next up, we've got our AI-driven semantic matching. in and around sites. So this is again in public preview. And this is a new intelligent feature that enables admins to search through unstructured content and find patterns that align with your predefined sort of queries. So you can provide a list of sites with documents that are similar to certain content. So if you've got legal documentation, you can provide that and it will go away and find, based on context and semantics, other areas and other pockets where similar types of data are existing within your estate. So again, you can go and take policy actions and apply policy recommendations as appropriate so that you can go and protect that content. So you're able to easily find the potential hotspots of content within your organization to help apply governance in a more targeted way. You know, applying governance across Microsoft 365 is a significant task, a task not to be shied away from, but these tools allow you to target the actions that you would take in on those tasks to make sure that you're starting in the right place first, so you get the most value more quickly from applying governance to your SharePoint estate. Third on the list today, we've got site ownership policies. And this is a particularly useful one, something that I think people have been crying out for a little while. This uses a rule-based engine to enable admins to automate time-consuming tasks related to content ownership. So we can actually maintain a minimum number of sites, that's a minimum number of sites from site owners, identify the most appropriate individuals and more accountable individuals to go and take action on those sites. So we can actually understand who is using the sites that they are marked as an owner for, so we can ask them to take action on whether or not those sites should continue to exist, whether they can be archived, whether they need to be made read-only, and being able to do access reviews around those. So finding the people who are active within those sites, be able to go and do things like a permissions review, incredibly powerful tool, again, to help secure content and make sure Copilot has access only to the relevant content for the individuals it's acting for. Restricted content discovery. So we had SharePoint restricted search rolled out, which was a really effective way of reducing the scope of content Copilot had access to. With restricted content discovery, we're actually now able to take that one step further. So rather than just using SharePoint restricted search to give us an allow list of 100 sites, we can use restricted content discovery so admins can actually configure policies that restrict both search and Copilot from reasoning over specific data. So previously we had the allow list, please only use this content, where now as we have the restricted discovery, so we can actually deny list certain content and say we're no longer letting you use this particular content for use in Copilot responses. So we leave the site access intact. We don't have to do anything to sort of go for the nuclear option of closing down sites and making them inaccessible. We can leave those sites to be used by the users that use them, but then we can restrict Copilot from being able to use that data to read its responses. So it's a really good granular way of managing team sites, communication sites across SharePoint to make sure that we're only using the right data that we need. Together with another new functionality of restricted site creation, a lot of the M365 admins on the call will be familiar with the ability to prevent people from creating Microsoft 365 groups and have that only available to members of a particular security group within your tenant. You can now do this with restricted site creation more broadly to other types of SharePoint sites. So any sites that aren't connected to a group, you can now enable specific access to specific individuals who can create non-group based sites so that you can stop and sort of help sort of mitigate any content sprawl in your organization and keep that creation just to the particular users you want to be able to create sites. Second to last on this SharePoint Advanced Management sort of splurge of updates, we now have more control over inactive SharePoint sites as well. So again, this will be something a lot of folks will clap their hands that is finally here. But this allows you to reduce the amount of governance you need to do up front by using actions such as archiving and setting content to read only based on site policy. So actions allow users to narrow the scope of what needs governance, minimizing oversharing as you go, eliminating any stale content or relative content. And what that effectively does is reduce that critical mass of data within your organization, which is good practice to begin with, only keeping what you actually need to keep. But because you're doing that, you ultimately enhance the quality of Copilot responses because it will then only ever ground itself and reason over data that is still relevant to your organization. and you're no longer getting old data, skewing the results and potentially causing Copilot to what may seem like a hallucination at first, when it turns out it's actually not, because it's providing citations to out-of-date content or content that is no longer correct based on where your business is today. And finally, on SharePoint Advanced Management for this month, this is basically an expansion to an existing report which shows you the location of the everyone except external users group within your SharePoint estate, and it shows you content shared with that group over the last 28 days. So you've been able to, for a little while, identify where that group exists and on what sites it exists, but now you can understand which content is being shared very broadly with that group over the last rolling 4-week period. So that allows you to, as admins, identify recently sort of created public sites. So again, if you're not using the restricted site creation policy, you're able to then see where new sites are popping up that are perhaps overshared, and then that allows you to take action on those. So the report itself actually includes actions allowing admins straight from the report to initiate an access review. So that site has just been created. It seems to be overshared within the organization. Please go and restrict that, or also secure content within that. So again, Copilot is only reasoning over data that users should have access to. So there's a huge heap of benefit and new functionality coming to that SharePoint Advanced Management SKU, really increasing the value of that add-on capability. And I hope you can see that all of these new tools are really valuable to getting your data estate in a good condition, and also really helping drive forward the governance conversation, which can be quite a pill to swallow. Hopefully these tools, you'll see the value in being able to target that response and sort of target your governance measures as you go. And with that, Kellen, I'll hand back to you for end user.
Let's go ahead and dive into end user capabilities with Copilot. There were some changes that were overshadowed by Wave 2. However, we do still want to share them with you and make sure you're aware of them. So now you are able to generate images with Copilot in BizChat or Business Chat. This allows you to do so using natural language. This feature is available both in web and work modes and leverages advanced AI models to create visual content. The Visual Creator Copilot agent also supports this functionality that you can find in Teams and in the web. This feature rolled out back in September and is still quite nascent. I've been trying to use this feature in my day-to-day tasks, and you still have to work with it a little bit. So to try this, open Copilot in your browser and give it a very detailed description of the image that you want it to create, including details about exactly how you want it to look, color, everything like that. The more descriptive that you are, the more likely Copilot is able to give you what you ask for. So I'm very excited to hear about your experiences with this feature. Another update that we have is Business Chat is now integrated into Outlook Mobile and Outlook for Mac, enhancing collaboration, task, and time management, so you can take it with you wherever you go. Users can now summarize emails, find important information, and prepare for meetings all on their mobile devices. This feature was rolled out in August. So now you can have Copilot in the palm of your hand. However, does this make end users AI demigods? This remains to be seen, and I think it depends on the end user and how you use it. All right. And then email is also a great tool for collaboration, but we know some conversations can run long. For occasions when you need to escalate an email thread to a live conversation to get work done, aka a Teams meeting, Copilot can help you set up that meeting by selecting Schedule Meeting with Copilot button in your top ribbon when you press Schedule Event. Copilot will create a meeting title, suggest an available time that works for both parties, and draft an agenda based on the email thread that you're meeting upon, and also summarize the conversation. And that's it. The meeting invite is ready to be sent over to the other party. This feature rolled out back in August and has also helped me a time or two since then, scheduling a meeting with multiple people. It's very handy. Another one of our exciting updates, users can now privately chat with Copilot in Loop. So similar to Word and Excel, you can interact with Copilot in the top right pane, just like in your other M365 apps, calling on content from across your Loop page, your company, as well as the web. This feature allows brainstorming and catching up without engaging teammates unnecessarily. It integrates content from various sources in your M365 apps and information, and was rolled out back in September. So I hope you all have a chance to try this new feature that came out last month. Another recent update that came out is Copilot in Word now allows users to reference longer content and allows you to block up to 75,000 words and provides example prompts to quickly start these drafts. These features are rolling out across the web, desktop, and Mac. But note that generated content is still limited to about 3,000 words. This feature rolled out back in July and is rolling out again in September on desktop and Mac. You can get started on a draft immediately by using example prompts that Copilot provides per usual. On blank documents, Copilot will now provide one-click examples of prompts that can help quickly get users to get started on a document. All right, and now in OneNote, both typed and handwritten notes can now be analyzed at the same time with Copilot in OneNote. So no matter how you capture your thoughts, whether you write them down in OneNote or you type them out, Copilot can still summarize, rewrite, generate to-do lists, and give you suggested prompts based on your notes. I think this is a really helpful update, especially for those who appreciate handwritten notes. You can also handwrite a prompt in the Copilot chat pane, and it will automatically be converted into typed text. This feature rolled out back in August. All right, and then there's a new blog series coming out for skill building with Copilot. To scale up on your skills for Copilot in Microsoft 365 and various technologies. This is a user's go-to source for the latest skill building updates, resources, and opportunities. This quarter's blog covers essential Copilot adoption resources, content for small, medium-sized organizations, new learning paths, technical videos, events, and more. It's sort of like a more user-friendly Microsoft support center. So instead of listing all of the possible things you might need help with, it's more of a blog setup. It provides resources and prompting tips similar to Copilot Lab that we mentioned in our last few sessions. Also, there have been some updates to Copilot Success Kit that will help leadership and teams be smart about the way that they work with Copilot. So there's a handy guide for leaders spotlighting the must-dos for rocking Copilot, from leadership and tech prep to embracing change. You can check out the user enablement guide for tips on using Microsoft Viva to boost usage and keep users happy. Don't miss the updated technical readiness guide as well, now featuring the scoop on Microsoft Copilot Studio and App Azure. You can also speed up your Copilot journey with the Accelerate Copilot with Microsoft Viva Guide, which showcases how Viva Suite features can fast track your implementation in your organization. Lastly, you can dive into how to use Microsoft Viva Amplify for your Copilot rollout and compete with real-life examples from Microsoft's digital Copilot adventure. All right, and I will turn it back over to Lee to go through our Copilot M365 roadmap.
Thank you very much. So as always, there are heaps and heaps and heaps of functionality rolling out all of the time. We try to focus on the things that we think will give you the most impact within your organizations. So just to give an illustration of that, this is what has changed in the last month alone. So this is an absolutely enormous list. Some of this focuses in on things that came from the Wave 2 release of Copilot, where we had updates to the M365 apps and the tool itself. Just call out some specific ones on here that we don't have time to go in great depth, but are also well worth mentioning, is authoring content in SharePoint with Copilot. So this was covered off, I believe, last month, where you can now use Copilot to create new SharePoint pages. So by not just sort of reasoning on data within SharePoint with Copilot, you can actually use Copilot to help you create content in SharePoint as well. So just as you would with a Word document, you can create your SharePoint pages with the help of Copilot, which is incredibly useful. Copilot agents, I know that we did go through this one in a reasonable amount of detail last time, but it is a favorite of mine, being able to very quickly take a document library of key information within your organization, press just a few clicks, starting with an inline button in the document library itself, to be able to create a Copilot agent specifically on that knowledge set, so that you can really easily create bespoke Copilots for very specific reasons within your organization. So imagine your HR policy library within SharePoint, creating an agent specifically on that, so you know that it is only going to use that information reason its answers on. Is very, very powerful and very quick and easy to use. We've also got on here some of the changes that I've mentioned just earlier today, things like our site ownership policy is coming in, chatting with Copilot in Outlook for Mac and on mobile as well, which is very useful. And then referencing that data from elsewhere, it's also a particularly impactful change that's rolling out. And the last one I'll call out here is just here on Viva Copilot's dashboard. This is now can be granted access to using enter groups. Previously, you had to nominate specific users to have access to that dashboard. So you've now got much more specific control over who can access that Copilot dashboard. That being the dashboard that appears to you in Viva Insights and is what gives you really great insight on how Copilot's being used within your organization, which tools, down to the specific types of prompt which are actually being used by your users with Copilot. So a really powerful dashboard, which you can now more easily give access to in your organization. So beyond that, we've got some other changes that are ongoing. So again, over the last month, sort of things that have moved into the launch state and that are rolling out actively just now. So again, a big focus on Wave 2 here as we see things coming to all our different areas of Microsoft 365 with Copilot. So again, there's the Copilot dashboard. Again, cannot stress enough how useful that particular tool is for ensuring that your uptake is where it needs to be for Copilot within your organization. And then we've also got other things rolling out as well. So improvements to the usage report, which is very useful. Automatically summarizing documents in Word so that Copilot can immediately get you up to speed with the document in front of you, which is particularly useful as well. So lots of stuff going on within the roadmap, and all of these items are available through Microsoft's public Microsoft 365 roadmap site, where you can check out the latest status on the things coming, and also search based on the products that you're interested in as well, if you've got a specific interest on Copilot coming to a specific area. So as we mentioned at the top of the call, we do have a short survey available for anyone who would wish to complete it. So I'll give you a moment to grab your phone and give the QR code on screen a scan. When this loads through, it won't have the same name when you land on Microsoft's website, but if you are able to very quickly fill that survey in and it sort of indicate that you have sort of attended these sessions, that helps us out a lot. Allows us to be able to continue to run these sessions in a meaningful way for all of you, and we hope that you are finding these very useful. So by filling out that short survey, it will allow us to continue to do so, and we really appreciate that if you can just take the moment to do it. So at this point, I will open the floor. I know we've had a few questions in the chat. Thank you very much to Caitlin, who's been answering those directly in the Q&A module as well. But if anyone has any further questions, please do feel free to either drop those in the chat or in the Q&A module, or even come off mute if you're feeling brave and ask the question directly. And we'll do our best to answer those today. And if we can't, we'll take them away and we'll come back to you as well.
There are a couple of questions in the chat, Lee. I can take one of the questions that Chris asked about the difference between Copilot Agent and Copilot Studio. So Copilot Agent is basically rebranding of custom Copilot that you can create using Copilot Studio. So Copilot agent functionality started rolling out on a general commercial tenants right now. It's not, for example, not on our tenant yet. We can start seeing that you can search for agents, but they not actually capabilities not there. But when it will appear, so you will be able to create agents through the just Copilot experience without even using Copilot. Few quick instructions, you will be able to create an agent. But if you need additional customization and additional extensibility of agent functionality, then you will need to use Copilot Studio for that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alex.
There is also a question from Jennifer. When will Copilot for M365 allow you to schedule meetings? I believe that feature in the roadmap,
yes.
right?
Yes, so that is coming. So that is mentioned. Kellen went through some of the details on that. So Schedule with Copilot is slowly but surely making its way out. I've been using it as well, and it is quite useful. So when you are in Outlook, you can select an email thread, and you will be given the Schedule with Copilot as a response option. And Copilot will go and check out the calendars it has access to find a slot when everyone is available. So particularly useful for internal meetings, where you can very quickly turn an email thread into a meeting. So at the moment, I don't think you can do that from brand new events, but certainly from email threads, it's particularly useful, especially if you've got a lot of traffic going backwards and forwards. You can very quickly turn that email thread into a call for everyone.
And new Outlook as well.
Yes. Yes, it is only a new Outlook for Windows. There was a question there about it coming to Classic Outlook. There's nothing on the roadmap so far that suggests that. When it comes to Copilot, Microsoft's investment tends to be within Outlook on the web and the new Outlook for Windows. Features will always land there first, and it's kind of a case-by-case basis on whether or not they come back into Classic Outlook, which will be eventually phased out as well. So just be mindful of that if Classic Outlook is still in use in your organization.
There is one more question from Jane about will users be able to turn off the automatic summary of documents in Word?
Which is an excellent question that I've just been trying to find the answer to.
Okay.
So the summarization isn't very intrusive, so it takes up the same space at the top of Word that Copilot itself would. So you're not sort of being bombarded with extra windows or having a lot of your screen real estate taken up. But as far as I'm aware so far, you can't disable that if you are a Copilot user. But I'm sure that is something that will come in the not too distant future. But yeah, it appears just above the actual content of the document where Copilot would normally be, asking you to sort of ask questions of it. So it shouldn't be too detrimental to the user experience.
Yeah, there is also a question from Ryan about reporting on Copilot for the web biz chat. So we know that most of the analytical stuff comes from Copilot located in the M365 apps. And it's been a long time since I know that this has been discussed. So the reporting for BizChat is not there, but I know that there are certain things that already start showing up in the usage report, and maybe at time it will get its own weight into the Copilot dashboard as well.
Yeah, I'm the same, Alex. I've not seen anything specific on that. Ryan, we'll take the question away as well, and we'll see if we can find any specific info and come back to you on that if we can find anything a little bit more specific for you. Any further questions? We've got just over 5 minutes left of the session. So if you do have any questions, please, as I say, feel free to drop them in the Q&A or in the chat. And so if we don't end up with the time to answer them, we will come back to those to you as well if we can. Just while we wait for any further questions to come in, just wanted to very quickly showcase our Copilot Compass series again for you. So if you're interested in assistance with your Copilot deployment within your organization, Valorem Reply, Modern Work, we'd be very happy to help you with that, from technical readiness and enablement all the way through to adoption change management practices, as well as more sort of direct training with your end users. We'd be very happy to help with any of those scenarios, and those are listed on the screen there. There is a link to click there if you are interested to be able to check those out. So if you do need any assistance with your Copilot implementations, as I say, we'd be more than happy to help. We love talking about Copilot and helping others to love Copilot as well. And that's us for now. I don't think I've seen any further questions come in. As we are coming up to the holidays with Thanksgiving in the US and Christmas coming up in December as well, we are going to take a little break from the newsroom, but we will be back in 2025. We'll be sending out invitations soon for the January session. So we really appreciate everyone taking the time to join us for our newsroom sessions. We hope to see you back here again in January when newsroom kickstarts again in 2025, and hopefully we'll have a bumper edition for you if information continues to come from Microsoft on updates and improvements. So yeah, we'll be really excited to see you again in the meantime. If there's anything that you would like to see in these sessions, anything you think we don't cover that would perhaps be very useful, please feel free to reach out to the email address on screen, marketing.valorem@reply.com, and we'll try and adapt our sessions and adopt any of those suggestions if we can. And if anyone has any questions that they don't necessarily want to ask in the session, feel free to get in touch in the same way as well, and we'd be happy to talk to you one-to-one and help guide you on your Copilot journey. So thank you very much. Please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. Our names should link through to our profiles there as well, or find us. And again, we hope to see you in 2025 for the next edition of Newsroom. Thank you very much for your time, and we will see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween.